I finally got a Batman Beyond figure. Overall, it was disappointing. It looked cooler in the box, but I did cel-shaded and it does look much better. Still not that fun to pose though. Check out last week's video if you haven't seen it yet. I don't want Terry to be alone. That is why I got the Bruce Wayne figure as well. You know how I feel about figures in suits. The articulation is always quite restricted. And to no one's surprise, it's even worse on Bruce. Let's deconstruct this figure. I do have to say, I really like how the figure looks. I love that they captured the exaggerated silhouette of Bruce. He got those extra broad shoulders and tiny feet. They even gave him a bit of a hunchback. Visually, the figure looks pretty good. The only thing I don't love are the eyes. They gave him really thick eyeliners. He's staring into my soul. This is quite minor. I noticed that the arms and legs have a slight brown tint to them, and there are these weird defects of some sorts on the sleeves. Ace is cool. I like Ace. And just like Bruce, I think they got the eyes wrong. Only the pupils are supposed to be white. Somebody might know the answer to this, but why don't toy companies add elbow and knee joints to the animals? I'd love to have Ace sit or lay down the way he does in the cartoon. Okay, final complaint. What is the point of including these stands? I feel like they included them without checking if they actually work for these figures. Or am I just using them wrong? With all that said, I still like this Bruce Wayne figure. Yes, he's pretty much just a statue, but good old Bruce doesn't really need to do any dynamic poses, so the minimal articulation doesn't bother me that much. Besides, the joints don't look distracting at all. And since I got a cel-shaded Batman Beyond now, it means I got a cel-shade Bruce and Ace too. So, hello, this is Ken. I like making things. Whether it's repainting my figures or making diorama displays, I love making things look awesome. My goal is to elevate my figures so they can shine on my display. Join my DIY venture as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it? Let's start with the suit. I actually don't mind the frosted satin finish on the body, but the mismatched finish on the arms does bother me. So I'm gonna go over everything with the black so it looks consistent. Here's half the figure painted with the black. Look how much better that looks. Okay, the paint is still wet, so it's gonna dry a little lighter. My dollar store black paint isn't that deep. I did see a few comments suggesting that I should try Venta Black or Black 2.0, and that's a really awesome idea. This video was filmed before I read those comments though, so you're gonna have to watch me use the regular boring black paint. But I am curious to see how those black paint will look on figures, especially cel-shaded ones. But until then, stick with me until I get my hands on those black paint. Okay, on to the highlight. I am gonna use this image as my main reference. In the cartoon, Bruce's suit looked different depending on the setting. The first one is all black without any highlights. That looks a bit boring in my opinion. And when Bruce is in a dark setting, the suit had this purple tint to it. This look is a bit too specific. It wouldn't look right in well-lit situations. So I'm gonna go with the promotional art, where there's this band of grey highlights going down his shoulder. It's a bit thicker than what I usually do. I usually try to keep the highlight thin and more organic, but I haven't really tried this style yet. And this figure is a good one to test it on. The good thing about this is that there are a lot of smooth surface areas, making the painting process less stressful to do. And just like the promotional art, I'm only gonna add the highlights on one side, the left side of Bruce, and not around the silhouette like Batman Beyond. If I do that, I think he'll end up looking like he's going for a jog. Next, the face. I'm gonna try a new paint. I got a set of skin-colored model paint a while back. I haven't used them yet because I've gotten so used to the Dollar Tree paint, and they've always gotten the job done for me. But Bruce is gonna be my test subject today. Oh, interesting. The paint is much more opaque, which I like. But the color is also much paler than what I see on the bottle. It is supposed to be a light pinkish skin color. Did I not shake the bottle enough? I can't stop now, I gotta commit. And he's now glowing. Or maybe he's just reflecting light. I can't tell. I'm gonna have to tone it down with my other paint. The other model paint appears to be much darker, and I'm not ready for more surprises today. On to the shading. I'm gonna go for a light tan color. In the cartoon, the shading is quite harsh, but I don't know if that'll translate well on a figure. Especially now that the face is paler than I wanted. I'm gonna use the promotional image as my reference again and copy the shape. Oh, you can barely tell it's there. Let me deepen the shade a bit more. Okay, great. Now it's getting too intense. I'm gonna have to move on before I ruin it. Let me work on the hair next. I am brightening the middle of the hair, and then paint the sides half a shade darker. And while I'm at it, let me paint the shirt or sweater gray as well. I want it to be darker. I think that will help balance out the pale face. I also need to add a bit of shading to the shirt too. The key to good cel shading is consistency. Alright, I'm gonna do a coat of matte spray to seal the paint, and then I'll add some black outlines to his face off camera. It is too intricate to do that far away. Let's cel shade Ace next. I've never cel shaded an animal before, so I don't really know how to approach this. I actually do like how Ace looks out of the box, but that shiny finish doesn't match Batman Beyond or Bruce's cel shading. So I'm going to do a thin coat of black first. As for the cel shading, I couldn't find that many high quality reference images on Google, and the ones I found aren't that consistent, so I'm going to rely on the promotional image again as my main reference. The only issue I have is that I can't really tell what the shading is supposed to look like on the opposite side of Ace. I'm gonna assume it's not supposed to be perfectly symmetrical. So just like Bruce, I'm gonna add the grey highlights to the left side of Ace's legs. But for the body, I'm only gonna add the highlight down the middle. I feel like Ace should still be predominantly black. Alright, now let me clean up the edges. And... that doesn't look right. The shade of grey is too light. Bam! I darken the grey. That looks better. Onto the collar. I'm gonna add a little bit of shading to it. I'm gonna place the shadow so that it lines up with the black. Look how natural that looks. So let me do the same on the opposite side. And the same thing for the studs. I'm painting the studs in the shaded area a darker grey. Alright, all there's left are the pupils. Let me add them with a toothpick. Let's have a look at the before and after, starting with Bruce. Okay, from afar, the changes are very minor. The sleeves aren't glossy anymore. But what about a close-up? Ooh, this is interesting. The cel shading actually makes the figure look more 3D. Almost like he's CGI'd. Is that a good thing or bad thing? As a whole, I do think it's a slight improvement. The eyes are less death glary, but I don't think I did that great of a job with those fine lines. The strokes don't look that confident. Maybe I should have used the Gundam marker pens, but I don't know if I'll be able to reach the eyes with the pens without messing up either. Acrylic paint is easier to fix in a way. Overall, I think it is decent. The cel shading looks okay. It doesn't look too jarring. And here's Cel-Shaded Ace. I don't know how I feel about the cel shading. The before has more of an intimidating look. But the cel shading does look slightly better once I pair him up with Bruce. Maybe a darker shade of grey would work even better. But at the same time, it's not that far off from the reference images. With all that said, I now have a nice Batman Beyond trio in my collection. Photoshoot time. I know I've been quite critical of this figure. Okay, that is because this is the 6th consecutive suited figure I've worked on recently. But to my surprise, Bruce Wayne is very photogenic. There isn't much I can do when it comes to poses, so I wouldn't say he's fun to pose. But he has this presence or aura to him. He looks great in all these photos. And I really like how these two Batman look together. The dynamics between them is obvious. Okay, I am gonna do it. I'm gonna make a mini display for them. I can only think of one location that can fit all three characters, and that is the Batcave. More specifically, the Batcomputer. The good thing is, I already have something that is the perfect size. Okay, I haven't really mentioned this in my other videos, but I think my laser printer is slowly dying. I can't seem to get rid of those streaks on my prints. I tried doing the self-cleaning setting thing, and I also cleaned the drums, but I still see the streaks. Also, not sure if you noticed, but the floor isn't supposed to be blue. I designed it to be purple, but it came up pure blue. I've had this laser printer for a few years now, and for the most part, it did its job well. I printed a lot of sheets over the years, and I've only changed the toners once or twice. But maybe it is time for me to invest in an inkjet printer. Does anyone know any good quality inkjet printer that works with Mac and cardstock paper? I don't want any that has subscription services tied to them. I heard the EcoTank ones are good. If you have any recommendations, let me know. Alright, let's see how the Batcomputer looks with Bruce and Ace. Ooh, that looks pretty good, scale-wise. But those streaks on the screens do bother me a bit. It kinda works. It kinda looks like it's part of the design. But that wasn't my design. And speaking of not my design, the computer is supposed to be more brown, and it came out yellowish. It is now almost the same shade as Bruce's face. So now Bruce kinda blends into the background. Boo! Anyway, I am still happy that these Batman Beyond figures now have a home, especially for Bruce and Ace. It just makes sense to put them in front of the Batcomputer, you know? Too bad Terry doesn't really fit. But maybe he's just consulting with Bruce, coming up with a game plan against Ink. Actually, it looks more like they're having a disagreement. There's tension between them. But if you ask me, I really like this display with just Bruce and Ace. It fits their characters. Bruce prefers to be alone, and Ace is there to accompany him. Too bad I can't make Ace sit convincingly. I guess he's a bad boy after all. Anyway, what do you think of Bruce and Ace? Did you like the cel shading? Let me know down below. I still don't know how I feel about these DC animated figures. On one hand, they look great. They look like they jumped straight out of the cartoon. But I can't deny that the articulation is very disappointing. I guess we can't have the best of both worlds, at least not yet. Maybe in another 5 to 10 years. I don't change the figures' poses once they're in their displays. So as long as I get cool looking displays out of them, I am satisfied. And if you're also satisfied, feel free to give this video a like, and subscribe to see more DC figures. And as always, stay inspired and I'll see you soon. I can make it, so can you.